Good morning or afternoon, depending on what time you're watching this video. We are going to review your Case 21 today because tomorrow you have a Case 21 test. This is just a district test just to see how far you are, how well you are prepared, how much you know in regards to what's going to be on the state test. So, let's go through your review. Number one, which relation represents a function? So for function, you want to make sure that all your x's are different. For a graph, that just means your vertical line test. If I draw a line through the graph, does it hit more than once? Yes. So that is not a function. For your tables, make sure all your x's are different. How many negative 5s do you have? Just one. How many negative 3s do you have? 2. Same thing with negative 1. You have 2. So that is not a function. For C, look at all your x's. We have 2, 2, 2, 2, 2, 2. Are all your x's different? Not a chance. So C is out. D, when you have an equation, that is your answer because it's the only thing left. But when you have an equation, I would graph it. So go to your calculator, go to y equals, and graph exactly what you see. You have a fraction. You have negative 3x plus 2, all of that over 5. And when you graph it, can you do the vertical line test? If you were to draw a line anywhere, would it hit more than once? No. So that's a function. So it is D. Okay, number 2, what's the solution to the equation? There are multiple ways you can solve this equation. What I think is the easiest is just to do the cross multiplying, just the butterfly method. So 6 times 5x, 5 plus x, 6 times all of that. And the other side, 9 times all of that, x minus 11. Then you can just distribute. 6 times 5 is 30. 6 times x, 6x. 9 times x, 9x. 9 times negative 11, negative 99. How do we get our x's together? Well, we can just subtract it over. So 6x minus 9x is negative 3x. Go away. How do we get our numbers together? Same thing, just subtract it over. So negative 3x equals negative 29. Negative 129. How do you get rid of negative 3? Divide, because that's negative 3 times x. So divide it out. And negative 129 divided by negative 3 is 43. So that'll be A. If you honestly couldn't think of that, couldn't think of multiplying, do the butterfly method, cross multiply, you could plug each one of these numbers in and see which one is true. See which one gives you like 7 equals 7. Okay, number 3. Considering this function, what is f of negative 4? Well, negative 4 right here is x. It's in the parenthesis, just like x is in the parenthesis there. So all we're going to do is plug into x. We get x squared, so we're going to put negative 4, then squared. Minus 4 times x is negative 4. You have to put it in parentheses. If you don't put this negative 4 squared in parentheses, you're going to get the wrong answer. So when you plug it in to your calculator, again, you have to put it in parentheses. Or negative 4. Negative 4, close your parenthesis, then square it. Minus 4 times negative 4. So 32. So D. Okay, number 4. The length of a rectangle is 4 more than twice the width. The perimeter of the rectangle is 56 units. So we have the length. We know what that is, 4 more than twice the width. We have the perimeter, and that's going to be 56. So which statement is true? So if you look at all your statements, all of them are setting up an equation. So we need to set up that equation. To find perimeter of a rectangle, of anything, you're going to add all the sides. A rectangle has 4 sides. You have 2 lengths and 2 widths. So for your perimeter, you're going to get 2 lengths plus 2 widths. Over here, it told us the length of the rectangle is 4 more than twice the width. More means we're going to add. So we're going to add that 4. Twice means multiply by 2. What are we multiplying by 2? Twice the width. So 2 times W. That then is called a switch word. That just means flip your whole equation around. So instead of 4 plus 2W, we're going to have 2W plus 4. And all of that is your length. So instead of length, we're going to put this, 2W plus 4. And then perimeter, they gave that to us as well. They told us that was 56. Now, my equal sign's on the wrong side, so I can put it on the other side. No problem. So equal 56 on the other side. And which equations does that match? That's going to match the bottom 2. These 2 don't have it multiplying by 2. They didn't do 2 lengths and 2 widths. And then we just want to see, it can be used to find the width, and the width is 12 units or 8 units. Which one is it? So let's solve it. Distribute it out. 2 times 2 is 4W. 2 times 4 is 8. Now what can we do? Combine your like terms. 4W plus 2W. That's 6W. Bring everything else down. How do we solve it now? We have plus 8, so let's do the opposite. Subtract 8. So 6W equals 48. And then that's 6 times W, so do the opposite. Divide. 48 divided by 6 is 12. So between C and D are only answers left. Which one is 12 units? C, because D has 8. So that's it. Okay, number 5. Which graph best represents this function? So all of these are linear graphs, but this is not in the regular form. It's not in mx plus b. So how do we get it to y equals mx plus b? All we have to do is distribute. 2 times x is 2x. 2 times negative 3 is negative 6. So we have a positive 2 slope and a negative 6 y-intercept. So which one of these has a slope of positive 2? Which means your line is going up. Well, A is going up, C is going up, B and D, they're going down. So those are out. Both of these are going up 2 over 1, so that doesn't help us. They're both 2. So which one has a y-intercept of negative 6? Well, A is at negative 3, and C is at negative 6. So C. Okay, number 6. The formula for the sum S of the measures of interior angles of a polygon in degrees is S equals 180 times n minus 2. where n is the number of sides of the polygon. Which is the formula solved for n? That's a lot of fancy talk just to say solve for n. So we have this formula and we want to get n by itself. You have two options. You can do a do-undo table, or you can do order of operations backward, which is just SAD-MEG. Because remember from that lesson 4.7, that G is all your grouping symbols. Parentheses, absolute values, fractions, and square roots. All those grouping symbols. So I'm going to go with SAD-MEG. So do we have subtraction? Yes, but it's inside our group. And I'm not to group yet because group is last. So outside of our group, we do not have subtraction. Outside of the group, do you have addition? No. Do you have division? No. Do you have multiplication? Yes. This is 180 times that whole parenthesis. So how do we get rid of multiplication? We divide. So that n minus 2 is all that's left. And over here, we can't simplify this letter and the number, so we just bring it down. S over 180. Okay, do we have exponents? Nope. Do we have a group? Yes, we had that group of n minus 2. How do we get rid of that n minus 2? You can start SAD-MEG over for your group. Do we have subtraction? Yes. How do we get rid of minus 2? We add 2. So all we have left is n. And then on this side, we have s over 180. And then we added 2. So which one matches that? B. Okay, 7. What's the value of x? So this one is very similar to number 2. You could put this over 1 and you could cross multiply. Or you could just multiply out that 4 and multiply it to the other side. Either way works perfectly fine. I'm going to go with this since I already have it written. So if we multiply out that 4, it'll go away. Bring down 6x minus 12. And on this side, we're going to multiply 4 by all of it. That's why I put it in parentheses. You're not just multiplying by 4 or 32. You're multiplying by the whole thing, which means we have to distribute. So 4 times 4, 16. 4 times 32 is 128. And then solve. How do we get our x's together? Just subtract it over. Minus 16. 6 minus 16 is negative 10. How do we get our numbers together? This one's minus 12, so add it. 128 plus 12 is 140. Then how do I get rid of negative 10x? How do I get x by itself? Just divide, because this is negative 10 times x. 140 divided by negative 10. So x equals negative 14. So it is C. Okay, 8. The function f of x equals 128 times 1/2 to the x represents the number of teams left after X rounds of a tournament. Which statement is true? So they all say the value of f of 3. What is f of 3? F of 3 is just x. Just like x is in parentheses right there. All that's telling you to do is take 3 and plug it into x. So we have f of 3 is 128 times 1/2 to the third. And then just plug it in the calculator. So 128 parentheses 1/2, yes, 1/2. Close your parentheses, and we need an exponent of 3. So we're going to hit the little rooftop, and then 3. And that is 16. So just knowing our answer is 16, we can eliminate A and B. Then we just have to decide which one is correct. Is it 3 teams left after 16 rounds? Or is it 16 teams left after 3 rounds? Look at what we have. It says it represents the number of teams. This whole thing is the number of teams left after X rounds. Well, what was X? What did we plug into X? We plugged in 3. So our rounds are 3. And then that whole thing represented the teams. We solved for teams. So it's 16 teams left after 3 rounds. So D. Okay, number 9. A recycling center processes aluminum cans. By noon, the center processed a total of 1,356 cans, and the expression 174x plus 1,356 represents the total number of cans processed X hours after noon, which best describes the value of 174. So what is 174 in our equation up here, our expression? What place is it in? Is it in the place of slope or y-intercept? It's in the place of your slope, which means this is your rate of change. Rate of change. So it's going to have one of those rate words. It's going to have per, each, or every. So first of all, is 174 a coefficient or a term? A coefficient is just the number in front of the variable. It's the number in front of the variable, like X. A term is the whole phrase that's being multiplied. So is 174 just the coefficient in front of X, or is it the whole phrase? This one is just the coefficient. The whole phrase is 174x. We just want to know what the coefficient part of that is. So C and D are out. Does it represent the number of cans processed per hour after noon? Or does it represent the number of hours the center is open after noon? Well, we already said it was our slope. It's our rate of change, which means it has to be y per x. What is y here? Well, we know x is our hours. What are they doing every hour? They're processing cans. So it's cans per hour. Which one of those says cans per hour? A. Number of cans per hour. Okay, number 10. Okay, 2 businesses sell sunglasses. The total number of sunglasses remaining Y at the end of X business days before a new shipment arrives is shown for each business. So we have one of them as a table and we have one of them as a graph. So which statement is true? We want to know who sells on average either less sunglasses or more sunglasses each day. Each day should be a very big like red sign. What does that mean we're looking for? Are we looking for a slope or are we looking for a y-intercept? Each is a slope word, a rate word. So we want to find our slope. How do we find slope on a table? All we have to do is subtract up. 20 minus 45 is negative 25. Double check it to make sure you're right. 45 minus 70, negative 25. So we know we're good. Other side as well. 4 minus 3, 1. 3 minus 2, 1. So we know they're the same. We know we're right. Which one goes on top? Slope is always y over x. So it's going to be negative 25 over 1, which simplifies to negative 25. So this is the number of sunglasses remaining after some days. So they are selling, because it's negative, they're selling 25 sunglasses per day. And then this one, we have good day sunshine. We want to find the slope of this. How do you find slope on a graph? Well, rise over run. So find 2 points. They graciously gave us 2 points here. You can use those or you can use other points on the graph. I'm just going to go ahead and use those. So how much is it going down to get to that point? 100 down to 0. It's negative 100. And then 0 over to 5 is 5. So rise over run, negative 100 over 5, simplifies to negative 20. So again, this is the number of sunglasses remaining. So they are selling 20 sunglasses per day. That's why it's going down. Their stock is going down because they're selling sunglasses. So, Future So Bright sells on average 5 less sunglasses, 5 more sunglasses, 20 less, or 20 more. What's the difference between those? Future So Bright is selling 25. Good Day Sunshine is selling 20. What's the difference? The difference is 5. 25 minus 5 is 5. Does Future So Bright sell 5 less or 5 more? They sell 5 more. They're doing 25. Good Day is only doing 20. So they're selling more. So B. Okay, which one is true? Future So Bright has a larger y-intercept, smaller y-intercept, smaller y-intercept. So let's look at their y-intercepts. So, Future So Bright, on the table, where do you find your y-intercept? Find it at 0. So their y-intercept is 120. Where do you find a y-intercept on a graph? On the y-axis. So theirs is 100. So Future So Bright is 120. Good Day is 100. So does Future So Bright have a larger y-intercept or a smaller y-intercept? Theirs is larger. Is it because it has a greater initial value, initial number of sunglasses, or it has a smaller initial amount of sunglasses? How many sunglasses did they have? They had 120. Is that more or less than 100? That's greater. They had a greater initial amount of sunglasses. So A. Okay, 12. The scatter plot shows the relationship between the English and science scores of 15 students in a class. Scatter plots are just going to be types of graphs that have a lot of dots on them. They're not going to follow one strict line. However, we can make a line of best fit. What's the best line that goes through this graph perfectly? Well, as perfect as we can get it. We're never going to be able to get it exactly perfect. So what you're going to have to do for these are look at your slope and your y-intercept. Is slope positive or negative? Is y-intercept positive or negative? Where is your y-intercept? All of that. What is your slope here? Is it going up or down? Well, starting on the left, your slope is going up. So we know it has to be positive. Just knowing our slope is positive takes out C and D. What about the y-intercept? We didn't have a y-intercept, but if we continued the line like I did, where would it hit? Would it hit at a positive number or a negative number? Well, we're on top of 0, so that's going to be positive. So that takes out A. Now, my line is not perfect, so mine fell just above 10, where the actual number is 9. We're never going to be able to get them perfect. All you want to do is look at your slope and y-intercept and approximate what they should be. Positive, negative, approximately where are they, all of that. So the answer is B. Okay, 13. The function represents the total cost of purchasing 1 couch and X throw pillows from a certain furniture store. So we have this equation down here. 1 couch and X throw pillows. Which two statements are true? So if we have 1 couch, that's going to be your starting amount. You bought a couch. We have X throw pillows, so we're going to go to X for that. That's your throw pillows. So we have to pick 2 statements, not 3, not 1, not 4, 2. The value of $25.99 is the slope of the function. That's true. It's with X as the slope. But does it represent the cost of 1 couch or the cost of each pillow? Well, it's slope. So automatically when you look at slope, you have to look for words like per, each, or every. Secondly, we just talked about that. X is throw pillows, so we know the slope, because it's with X, it has to be pillows. The couch was the 1 couch over here. That was the cost of the couch. So the couch is out automatically. And because we have each pillow, we know that $25.99 is the cost of each pillow. Look for your slope words and also look at what X is. C through D deal with for $29.99. They're all the y-intercept. That's true. That's your initial amount. But is it the cost of 1 couch, of X couches, or of each pillow? Well, we just said each pillow was our slope because each is a slope word. And this is the y-intercept. Slope and y-intercept don't go together. Not when you're looking at answers. We set up here that 1 couch was that $429.99. So 1 couch is that cost. But why is it not X couches? Well, because they told us up here, X is not couches. X is pillows. So it can't be that one. So it's going to be C. Okay, 14. The table shows the population of endangered crabs in a cove based on the data which is true. From month 0 to month 4, so these two right here, the population decreased by 136 crabs per month. So how would we figure out how much it decreased? Well, subtract it. You got 320 minus 184, but this is per month. 0 to 4, that's 4 months. So when you look at your slope formula, you have to make sure you get your y2 minus y1 on top and x2 minus x1 on the bottom. So it's going to be 0 minus 4 on the bottom. And then you plug it into your calculator. Now you do get 136 on top, but this is over 4 months, which ends up decreasing 34 crabs every month because we're not looking, this is a 4-month interval. So it's not 136 crabs per 1 month, it's 136 crabs every 4 months. Each month is only 34, so that one's out. Okay, from 5 to 8, so let me erase that. Okay, month 5 to month 8, so these two right here. The population increased by 100 crabs per month. So, looking at those, same deal, plugging it into our formula, we're going from 150 to 48. But we're looking from month 5 to month 8. So you do get approximately 100 on top, but it's not 100 per month. That's over 3 months. This is actually still decreasing 34 crabs per month. You have to make sure you look at how many months it's counting by. This isn't 1 month, it's 3. And it also said increase. And the crabs went down from 150 to 48. So that was out automatically. Okay, and the last two, it says over 8 months. So over the whole time period here, the population decreased 34 crabs per month or increased 34 crabs per month. So we know it's got to be 34. We've solved for that and got 34 twice. But is it decreasing or increasing? Well, we started at 320. We're ending at 48. So it went down. It decreased. So C. $15. A kayak rental company at a campground charges its customers $10 per hour for renting a kayak and a fixed amount of $2 for a bag to keep their belongings dry. A customer rents the kayak for 8 hours and chooses one bag. Which equation can be used to model the total amount, C, in dollars the customer will be charged? So these are all in the form y equals mx plus b, but we're using C and H for the cost and the hours. So what's your slope here? Find that slope word. How much is it changing? It's changing your part $10 per hour. That's how much it changes. So that's your slope. So these are wrong because they say 2 per hour. We want 10 per hour. And then you got a fixed amount of $2. Are they going to add that to your cost or subtract it from your cost? They're going to add it. You have to pay for that bag. So they're going to add $2. So it's going to be D. Okay, 16. A student wants to buy a violin and take lessons. The violin costs $95 and the lessons cost $65 per hour. Write an equation representing the total cost, or which equation represents the total cost of the violin and lessons T based on the number of hours of lessons. So, for your variables, total is going to be T, and then H is your hours. So go back to your slope. What is changing? Or where's your slope word? You got per hour because H is with our slope. So that per hour is how much? 65. So we know it's got to be the top two. But are they going to add the 95 for the violin cost or subtract it? Well, you have to buy that violin. So that's going to be added on to your total cost. You have to pay for the violin and pay for the lessons. So they're going to add it. So B. 17. We have the graph of a linear function here. Which two statements are true? So two statements. Is the point negative 4, 0 on the line? Well, your points are always going to be x, y. So this is x, this is y. So go to negative 4 on x, 0 on y. So don't go up or down any. That point, not on my line. Okay, 0, negative 2. So x is 0, so we're not going left or right any. But y says go down 2. So right here. Super close, but not on the line. Okay, 1, negative 6. So x is 1, so go over 1, and y is negative 6, so go down to negative 6. That one is perfectly on the line. But we have to pick two statements. So we also have to look at the equation. Which one of these equations is true? So the first one, they're not in the right form. They're not in y equals mx plus b. So we need to get them there. So as always, when you're solving for y, you have two steps. Add or subtract your x, and then divide the number in front of y. So this is a positive 2, so we're going to subtract. Get some space. So negative y equals negative 2x plus 4. Then we divide what's in front of y. That's a negative 1, so divide negative 1. So y equals negative 2 divided by negative 1 is 2. 4 divided by negative 1 is negative 4. Is that correct? Is your slope a positive 2? Nope, your slope is going down. Not even knowing if it's 2 or not, your slope is going down. So it's not the right slope. So let's check E. So again, add or subtract x. X is positive, so we're going to subtract. And divide what's in front of y. There's nothing in front of y, so that's it. So is this one correct? Is your slope negative 2? Well, the line is going down, so it is negative. And then you can pick 2 points. And it goes down 2 over 1. So negative 2 over 1, which is negative 2. Is your y-intercept negative 4? Right here, that one's negative 4. So that is correct. So C and E. Okay, 18. Which scenario is best represented by a linear function? So the area of a square. So if we're looking at a square, we want to find the area of it. How do you find area? Length times width. So all of your sides are represented by S. So this is S and this is S. First of all, what's a linear function look like? Linear function is y equals mx plus b. So if we take the area of this, our length is S, our width is S. What's S times S? S squared. Is that linear? Do you have a squared up here in y equals mx plus b? No. Squareds are not linear. Those are actually quadratic. So A is out. The perimeter of a square. So we still got our square. Perimeter means add all the sides. How many sides does a square have? They have 4. And all of them are being represented by S. So you have 4 S's. Is that linear? Yes, if you wanted to change those variables, that's just y equals 4x plus 0. So that's perfectly linear. So that one is your answer. Surface area, we've never talked about. Don't worry about that. Volume is length times width times height. So if you plugged S into all of those, you would actually get V equals S cubed, which is not linear in the least bit. So B. 19. A horse eats an average of 15 pounds of hay per day. If a farmer has a stock of 4,280 pounds of hay, then the function right there represents the amount of hay remaining after D days. Which statement is true? So all of your answer choices say F of 20. What does that mean? Well, we had a problem similar to that earlier. That just means this is X, or in this problem, D, because that's what's in place of X here. So we're just going to take that 20 and plug it in to D. So 4,280 minus 15 times D, which is 20. And plug it into your calculator. And you will get 3980. So our answer is 3980, so we know it's not A and B. But is it the amount of hay eaten after 20 days or remaining after 20 days? What does the problem say? It says the function represents the amount of hay remaining after D days. So it's remaining. It's D. $20. A veterinarian's office can schedule up to 3 patients per hour for each 8-hour workday during each 4-day work week. If the function f of x represents the number of patients scheduled each work week, which best describes the domain of the function? Well, first of all, what is domain? Domain is x. In this problem, what is x? Sorry. X is the number of hours. No, sorry. X is the number of patients here. Yeah, this is representing the number of patients. So we have 3 patients per hour for each hour workday during a 4-hour work week. And I said it right the first time. X is hours. It's per hour. So we have 3 patients per hour. And then we have 8 hours in a work day. So that's 3 times 8. So how many patients can you see in a day? 24. The only extra thing we have is we're only working 4 days a week, not a normal 4-day week. So if we're only doing 4 days a week, how many do we see? So 24 times 4 days a week is 96. Okay, so we know it can't be C or D because it's 96. And can it be any real number or can it be whole numbers? Well, you can't have you can't have half people or anything like that. So real number or irrational or anything like that. It all has to be positive. No decimals, no fractions, any of that. So real numbers is out because real numbers includes everything. But whole numbers are only going to be 0, 1, 2, 3, etc. So it's going to be B. Okay, 21. A toy company makes toys at a constant rate per hour. At 10 o'clock, the company made a total of 12 toys. At 2 o'clock, the company made a total of 108 toys. How many total toys will the company have made after 5? The easiest thing to do for this one, there's a lot of ways you could solve this. I think the easiest thing to do is to make a table. So at 10 o'clock, we sold 12 toys. And then we're going to go down to 2 o'clock. At 2 o'clock, we sold 108. We want to know what it's going to be at 5 o'clock. So how much is it changing here? 108 minus 12 is 96. But that's not 1 hour. How many hours are here? This is 1 hour, 2 hours, 3 hours, 4 total hours. So you're making 96, but you're making that over 4 hours, which means you're making 24 per hour, per 1 hour. So we need to count that 24 until we get to hour 5, to 5 p.m. So 108 plus 24 is 132, plus 24 is 156, plus 24 is 180. So it's going to be C. And again, if you find another way to solve this, that's fine. This is just what I think personally is the easiest way. Okay, the table shows the students' work solving this equation. We need to figure out which one is true. Where did they make a mistake or did they not make a mistake? So we're given this. Just write that down again. Did they write it down correctly? Yes, everything is exactly the same. What would we do next? We would distribute 4 over 5 times 5x is 4x. 4 over 5 times negative 10 is negative 8. Bring down the other side. Did they do that correctly? No. They just brought down the negative 10. They didn't even distribute the 4 over 5 to it. It's supposed to be negative 8. So they made their step right. They made their mistake right here between the given and step 1. So which answer choice is that? That is A, between given and step 1. And then that's it. You don't have to finish solving it. 23. An office supply company delivers boxes of papers to customers. Each box of paper costs the same amount, and there's a flat fee delivery for each order. The equation y equals 52x plus 35 represents the total cost for one delivery of x boxes of paper. What does 52 represent in this equation? Where is 52 in your equation? In place of slope or in place of y-intercept? That is your slope. So just knowing that, we can already mark off C and D. What is the slope here? Go back to the first bullet point. Each box of paper represents the same amount, or costs the same amount, and there's a flat delivery fee for each order. Which one of those is your slope? A flat fee is your starting amount. That's your y-intercept. Each box of paper costing the same amount, like $52 per box, that's your slope. So your slope is the cost per box, not the delivery fee. Because you only get charged that delivery fee one time. Your slope is going to happen over and over again, depending on how many boxes you charged, how many boxes you got. 24. A delivery service costs $2.75 per mile plus an additional $35 delivery fee, such that a delivery of 40 miles costs $145. If C of M represents the total cost of the delivery service in dollars based on M miles, which statement is true? So, we need to know what the y-intercept is and what the slope is. So, I would go to slope first. What you're going to see most of the time is per, each, or every. If you don't see one of those, think about what is changing. Luckily here we do have that. We have per, $2.75 per mile. What's changing here is your cost every mile. So that's your slope. So just knowing the slope, we can mark off B and D. Then, what's your y-intercept? 35 or 40? Well, it says plus an additional $35 delivery fee. And then 40 miles cost $145. Your y-intercept, first of all, is going to be a y value. Your y value here is C of m. That's in place of y. And that represents the total cost. So the only numbers we have are 35 and 40. 40 is miles, not a cost. So that one's out. And it's your $35 delivery fee because that's what they're going to charge you to start off with. Just for them to bring it to your house, you have to pay $35. That's your initial. So it's going to be A. Then after you pay that $35, you're going to do the total, the slope of $275 per mile. But you have to pay that delivery fee first. Okay, 25. A website developer earns a flat fee for each website created and an hourly rate for each hour of work H. The expression 45H plus 450 represents the total amount of money in dollars the developer earns for creating each website. Which two statements are true? So make sure we get two. So looking at our answer choices, it says the value of 45 or the value of 450. So let's look at 45 first. Where is 45 in our expression? It is in place of what? Slope or y-intercept? That's in place of slope, which means you need a per, each, or every word, a rate word. The only problem here is we have two. They both say each website, so we really have to go think about this. Is it the hourly rate you earn for each website, or is it the total cost for each website? Well, go back and read your problem. It says he earns a flat fee. The flat fees are always going to be your initial, your y-intercept. Then he earns an hourly rate. Rate is your slope. So he's earning it for each hour of work. That is your slope. So he got an hourly rate earned for creating the website, not the total cost. The total cost is going to be y, not your slope. So A. Okay, and then let's figure out what 450 is. Is it the flat fee for each website, the number of hours it takes to create each website, or the total cost? What space is it in my equation? It's in the y-intercept space. So is the y-intercept the flat fee? Just for creating the website, he gets a flat fee. Is it the number of hours, or is it the total cost? In this case, it's going to be flat fee. The number of hours is X. Time is going to be your, well, in this case, H. The total cost, that's Y, not the y-intercept, just Y, just your total. Your initial is going to be the flat fee, so C. Okay, 26. Considering the scenarios, which one is true? So the total amount of money A in a parking meter increases by 0.25 for each quarter. So, let's read the other one. Scenario 2. When flipping a coin X times, the total number of possible outcomes P doubles with each flip. So, all we want to know, are both scenarios nonlinear? Are both of them linear? Is scenario 1 nonlinear and scenario 2 linear? Scenario 1 linear, but scenario 2 is nonlinear. Basically, can you make a y equals mx plus b out of it? If you can't, it's not linear. So the total amount of money, A, in a parking meter increases by 25 cents for each quarter, Q. So what's your slope here? 0.25 for each quarter. So A equals, because they gave us A, not Y, 0.25 for each quarter Q. Is that a Y equals mx plus B equation? Yes, which means it is linear. Okay, when flipping a coin, the total number of possible outcomes P doubles with each flip. What's your slope here? We don't have one. A lot of people say it's doubles. That is not a slope. That is a different type of equation we have not seen yet. If you see doubles or triples or quadruples or half or anything like that, that is not linear at all. We're not going to see any of those until January. So those are wrong. So they're not both linear. They're not both nonlinear. Scenario 1 is best represented by a linear equation because it had a slope. So it's linear. Scenario 2 did not have a slope. Doubles is not a slope. So it's nonlinear. So D. (27) An analysis collects data on the gross domestic product, the GDP, per capita of a group of countries and the percentage of the population in those countries who own a smartphone. The analyst creates a scatter plot based on the data. So again, just like we saw earlier, scatter plot, it's just going to be a collection of dots. We try to make the best line of fit through it that we can. It's not going to be perfect though. So let's look at what they're asking for. This data on the scatter plot can be modeled by this. So they gave us the equation. Perfect. Which one is true? There is, on average, a 20.5% increase. That's what both of these say. Or a 1% increase. When you're talking increase or decrease, you're talking about slope. What is your slope here? Well, that's going to be in front of x. There is an invisible 1 in front of x. So it is a 1. In this case, percentage. So A and B are out. So it's a 1% increase in the percentage of the population who own a smartphone for every $1,000 increase per capita or every dollar increase per capita. How would we figure that out? Well, if you go back and look at your graph, just a tiny little detail on your graph. The GDP per capita is in thousands. So we want the one that says $1,000 increase. Just little tiny details you gotta watch. Okay, use the information given to answer questions 28 and 29. We have an equilateral triangle. We got all the sides to it. If each side of the equilateral triangle is 2x minus 4 units long, which expression represents the perimeter? How do you find perimeter of a triangle? For perimeter of any shape, you're just going to add all the sides. So we got 3 sides here. So we just add them up. 2x minus 4 plus 2x minus 4 plus 2x minus 4. If we distribute those positives, nothing's going to happen. Positive times positive is still positive. So just bring it down. Or just go ahead and combine your like terms. What are your like terms? Your x's, 2x plus 2x plus 2x is 6x. And then your numbers, negative 4 minus 4 minus 4. It's negative 12. So B. Okay, part B. For a particular side length, the height of the equilateral triangle can be approximated by the expression x plus 1 unit. Which expression represents the approximate area of the triangle in square units? How do we find area? area is going to be 1/2 base times height. So we got 1/2. What's our base? Well, if we go back to that diagram, all of the bases there were 2x minus 4. So that's your base. And then your height, they gave you in the words. They gave you x plus 1 for the height of the triangle. Then you just got to solve. There's a lot of ways to solve this. You can distribute the 1/2. You can FOIL it out. You can do a generic rectangle. I'm just going to go with FOIL, and then I'll distribute the 1/2. So 2x times x, is 2x squared. 2x times 1 is 2x. Negative 4 times x is negative 4x. Negative 4 times 1 is negative 4. Combine your like terms, which are going to be those x's. So 2x minus 4x is negative 2x. Then we got that 1/2 out front, and we can just distribute that. So half of 2x squared, half of 2 is 1, so x squared, or 1x squared. Half of negative 2x is negative 1x. Half of negative 4 is negative 2. So x squared minus x minus 2. And that matches A. And the last one. A rock formation at a local quarry has a different number of rocks at different levels, following a pattern. The table shows the number of rocks at each level. If n is limited to natural numbers, which function best represents the number of rocks on the nth level of the formation? Well, first of all, what are natural numbers? Those just start at 1. That's 1, 2, 3, 4, etc. That's why we're starting at 1 here and going up. So we need to figure out which equation matches the best. So, get that out of my way so I can write. So we need to find the slope. How do we find the slope on the table? We subtract up. 60 minus 69 is negative 9. Double check it. 69 minus 78 is negative 9. And on top, 5 minus 4 is 1. 4 minus 3 is 1. Which one goes on top? Your y. Your negative 9 over 1, which simplifies to negative 9. So we know our slope is negative 9, so that takes out B and D. Then we got to find our y-intercept. Where do we find our y-intercept? At 0. So we need to subtract to get to 0. So we have negative 9. So 96 minus negative 9. Watch that when you put it in the calculator. 96 minus negative 9, which will become a positive, which is 105. So that'll be C. So that's the last of the Case 21 review guide. Make sure you look over it and prepare for your Case 21 tomorrow. And don't forget to log in and take your Case 21 tomorrow. Good luck.